Hey, badass business owners, welcome to another episode of the Local Small Business Coach Podcast, where each episode we work on getting you to $100,000 in take-home pay. So if you're all ready to boost your profits, increase your sales, improve your processes, and develop stronger teams so you can stop living job to job, then let's dive in. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to the show. Hey, let me ask you a question. Are your customers cheap? Are you finding them cheap? Do you find that they are wanting the lowest price that you could possibly give them? Are you finding yourself frustrated and losing sleep, bitching and moaning in front of friends when you're gathered at networking events, talking about how people in this town is just so darn cheap? Well, this is something that I hear on a regular basis from people. And it doesn't matter what town they live in, where they're from, how big the community is, how small it is. And I want to talk about this because this is something that I think that for a lot of you, you kind of do it to yourself. And it's about time that you kind of start taking ownership of this and look in the mirror and find ways around it. Because moaning and groaning about it isn't going to change it. And if you think that the people in your community are cheap, then that's exactly what it is that you've got. And you're just going to have to accept it. No, I don't want you to accept it because it's not true. That's what I want to talk about today, okay? Because here's the thing. A lot of times when we feel that the people in our community are cheap or they just want the cheapest thing, what's happened is we are so focused on those people that's what we continue to get and bring into our business. And a lot of times it's also who, I hate to tell you this, but that's who you're advertising to, that's who you're communicating to, that's who you're connecting with. In other words, yeah, you kind of done it to yourself. And let's talk about that for a minute, because I know I'm going to tick off a few of you guys with part of this conversation. And hopefully by the time we get to the end of it, you'll start seeing it from a different point of view. Now, in the past, I've kind of talked about how you got to kind of pull yourself away from your business to that 30,000 foot level so that you can see the whole thing. And this is one of those conversations that you've got to take the emotion out of. So I really need you, if you have these beliefs that your business is being hurt and hindered by people who are cheap, you have to step out of that emotional realm that you live in when it comes to this topic. And here's why. Because first off, now this is going to be a little different for everybody. Everybody's going to kind of fit in a different bucket, but I'm going to throw everything out there and then you can ask yourself, where is it that you're living? So the first thing is, for some of you guys don't have a pricing problem or a discount mentality as much as you have a value problem. And what I mean by that is that people are seeing your services as cheap. They're seeing your services as a necessary evil and something they've got to get, but at the same time as they don't have to use you. They can find someone else who's cheaper. And instead of what they should be looking at is that the prices that you charge are amazing and such a wonderful value for what it is that you offer and for what you do. So what's happened is you've focused your business on what it is that you do versus the problems and pain points that you solve. Because if you think about it, we are way more willing to pay for something that we feel solves a need that we have at the moment. For example, one I like to use is water. If you think about it, water is free most of the time. So when we see a bottle of water priced at $1, $2, $3, sometimes $4, we go, what the heck? Oh my God. Some people would say that we're being cheap because that's a great value. This is like high quality water from one of the best mountains in the world. How are you not seeing the value of this water and the minerals and the things that we put in it and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, you know why we see that? Because we see it as expensive because we know that water is free. And we have a value thing where we don't associate water with being anything much higher than that. So of course we're not going to shell over $2, $3, $4, $5 for that water. But yet we will. And when will we do that? Let's say you're at the fair. Let's say you're at Disneyland. Let's say that you are out and it's 100 degrees and all of a sudden you realize that you are thirsty as heck and you have nothing to drink. And someone walks up to you and offers you that bottle of water for $3, $4, $5. Guess what? We don't even hesitate. We don't blink. We go and we grab that $3, $4, $5 and we pay for the water. Now, sure, we might mumble and grumble or whatever, but we gladly hand over our money so that we could have that water. And guess what? It is the best water in the world. And in that moment when we're guzzling that water and we're hot and that water is just quenching that thirst, it tastes like $5 of water. We get every value out of it because it feels so good. It's not until later that we might start going, oh my God, I can't believe I paid $5 for that water. But in that moment, it solved a need that we had, and it was very valuable $5 water. And that's how you kind of need to look at your business. You need to start changing the way you look at your business and focus on that need that you are solving for people. Now, sometimes you're going to have people that are going to be cheap. And that's why sometimes I say you need to have a good, better, best. You know what? Maybe you have an entry level point for everything. But here's the thing. You don't start there. When people start asking you about what it is, you start at that good and you work the way up to the higher levels. And then if they pull it back down, then you say, well, I do have something that's here. But by then you've already talked about all the great value they get out of that medium package or that higher package, that when you go to the lower package, yeah, there's an option for them if they want to be cheap. But by then you probably have already sold them on the values, in which case they're going to go, nah, I'll go with the first one. And we've done that. I'll guarantee you that when you've shopped and you've bought things before, somebody started off at that middle package, and then when you heard about the other package, it just seems so, it wasn't as great of a value. And all of a sudden, price didn't matter anymore because now we wanted that medium package. And I know you've all done that. I've been there. You've been there. It's just a matter of how it's teed up and how it is set up. When I ran Home Depot, one of the things, I was a district manager out in Utah. And when I got there, people were saying, people here are cheap. You're not going to believe how cheap they are, this and that. And I decided for myself that I was going to make a determination. Are these people cheap or what's going on? Well, I knew some factors because obviously the average family is going to have 4 to 6 kids. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if I've got 4 to 6 kids in my family, then I've got a lot of mouths to feed. So yeah, I'm going to watch my pennies a little bit more than the average family that doesn't have that. The second thing is they give 10% to their church. That's another big chunk off of their paycheck. So between all the kids and between the tithing that they do, yeah, you know what? They're not going to have as much disposable income as most places. But I peeled it back even further because then I wanted to say there's a difference between cheap and being cost conscious. And the more I realized it, it was also the same group of people that would pay more for something because of the value and how much longer it was going to last in that family of 6, 7, 8 people. And what I started discovering is, for example, on a garbage disposal, the number one garbage disposal is a 1/2 horsepower garbage disposal. Well, guess what? In Utah, it was the next size up. It was the 3/4 because they realized that they were going to be processing a lot more food. They didn't want something that was going to break down really quick. So they wanted the bigger one. When we did lawnmowers, guess what? They didn't buy the cheap lawnmower. They bought the next level up. Some of the higher end lawnmowers, we were the number one area in. It was all a matter about how we were looking at the problem and how we were looking at that perceived value. It wasn't that they were cheap. They wanted the best value for their money. And once we started changing some of our mindset around this, guess what? We started becoming one of the best districts when it came to the middle to higher end of certain categories and product lines. Because if we start off at the cheap and we sell that with our heart and soul, we're going to sell it the best. And here's what happens. The reason is we're more comfortable in that. We're more comfortable in that cheap entry. So we tend to spend most of our time and energy selling the values and the reason and the why you want to buy this cheap thing. I'm challenging you and for you to challenge your people to start getting them comfortable in why they should upgrade and start selling that middle to higher tier package of whatever it is. So for example, on the garbage disposals, we started doing some training around how to get people to just be comfortable starting off at the 3/4. Let the client or the customer talk us down into that entry level garbage disposal. Same thing for your business. You've got to start coming at it with a great value. And then when they pull you back, then you have a package that works for that. And then let them decide if they want that lower package or the higher. What do you have to lose? By doing this, what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot more people going for that middle to high package versus going for that lower package. Now, I know some of you guys are already going, well, you don't understand, Tammy, that won't work in my area. Well, it's not going to work in your area because you've already said it's not going to work in your area. So that's the first thing I'm going to push back on. Until you try it, you don't know if it will work or not. And here's the other thing. Do you really want your business to be full of people that only want the cheapest version of everything that you do? One, you're never going to grow and scale your business. Two, I'm not saying that you're not going to take those people, but here's the thing. You're going to find that most businesses, as they grow and as they mature, what happens is early on when we're desperate for money, we will take every and any job. But as we start to get more comfortable in our skin and we start getting better at our business, we start learning which jobs to turn down. Let the new people, the entry-level people, have some of those jobs. You need to kind of let them go. And if somebody's only using you because of price and only wants the cheapest thing out of you, then you know what? They're probably not the customer that you want anyways, because you guys are badasses and you're building businesses that are all about great quality, great customer service, high value. So if you're building a business like that, why do you want somebody who only wants the cheapest version of you? They're not a long-term customer, because here's what's going to happen. Because the next business that comes along and offers something cheaper than you, they're going to cheat on you. They're not loyal to you. They're not somebody that's going to go out there and brag about you and talk about you to their family and friends. So you're being loyal to someone who has no loyalty back to you. I want you focusing on those people that are that appreciate everything that you do and what you offer. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to be priced right. You need to have the right value package. But at the same time, you don't need to be chasing the bottom. You need to not give all of your energy and time over to the people that only want the cheap version of you. These people were never yours to begin with. They are going to cheat the first chance that they get. Now, another example that I want to use right now on this is to show you that difference is everybody has a comfort level, whether it's a customer or even you as an individual. And another great example that I've been using a lot lately to help talk about this has to do with your cell phone. Think about your cell phone right now. For some of you guys out there that I'm talking to, you have a basic flip phone and it seems to work for your business. How you do it, I have no idea. But you know what? You are perfectly comfortable having a most basic cell phone. And then some of you guys have just dabbled into the whole smartphone thing. You kind of like tipped your foot in the water, tipped your toe in there. Maybe you went with $100, $200 phone. And then there's some of you that are like me, that we do all of our business from our cell phone, and we will gladly pay that crazy $1,000 for the cell phone. Now, the people that have the flip phone and the cheap phone look at those of us with the $1,000 phone and think we are complete idiots and we are complete fools. Why on earth would you do that? Just the same that we look at them with their flip phones and what we think of them. What they don't understand is the reason that we'll spend that $1,000, and the reason that people can't understand why people would spend $1,000 is because they don't see the value of that phone. You know what? It's a value to us that spend that money, because guess what? We love the fact that we can do our entire business from our phone. It is a mini computer that can do email, that can look up, search things. We've got different programs on there for our business that we can follow and track. Some of you guys have things on there that you can track your scheduling, your employees, all kinds of stuff that it can do for you. In which case, it is a huge value to you because of everything that it can do. Whereas other folks, you know what? They don't use any of those programs. They use a phone for, oh my God, gasp, a phone. You know, if I always laugh because the worst thing on a $1,000 phone is the actual phone part, which is kind of ironic. But for somebody who only wants it for a phone, then yeah, you know what? That flip phone or that entry-level phone is perfectly good. If all they're doing is texting people back and forth, then yeah, that's why they made that step to a smartphone versus a flip phone. Because if you've ever texted on a flip phone with that ABC stuff, it is a pain in the keister. So really, that's what kind of happens. As our need grows, for example, if we just use it for a phone, flip phone works. We grow and we start using text and we realize we want it to be easier. We grow to that first entry smartphone. Once we discover the internet and everything we can do, we kind of go up a little bit more. When we discover email, we go up a little bit more. When we discover the apps we can put on our phone, we go up a little more. Pretty soon, the value of that phone continues to grow. And next thing you know, you're buying a $600, $700, $800 phone. Depends what you can do with it. It's all about value. So my point is, I want to make sure that each of you guys look at your particular products and services and ask yourself, how are you teeing it up for the value? Are you creating your own limiting belief that the people are cheap instead of looking at it from, I have a wonderful product or service that I offer and I'm going to talk about the value? Now, can I promise you you're not going to lose people? No, of course I can't promise you that. But I will tell you this. I'm very big about the numbers. You guys know I'm all about the numbers. I want you to run the numbers, because here's something that I find all the time is I'll play with people and we'll kind of do the business a little bit, and we'll say, okay, well, what if you do lose some? Okay, let's just say you lost, I don't know, a third of your people. How's that going to impact you? Well, let me show you a little quick math thing and just follow along. I've made it nice and simple because it is audio here and not video. Let's just say you normally charge $40 for whatever product or service that you offer, and you decide to jump it up to $60. And you're like, oh my God, that's a huge jump. You're right. It is a huge jump. Now, let's just say you have 100 people buying that $40 product or service from you. That means that you're getting $4,000 in sales, right? 100 people paying $40 is going to get you $4,000. Now, let's just say you're going to up it to $60 instead of the 40. So in order for us to get back to our 4,000, we have to ask ourselves, how many customers do I need to retain in order for me to make the same exact sales? Because I know I'm going to lose people, but at the $60, I don't need as many people to purchase that product or service. So if we take the 4,000 and we divide it by the 60, guess what? Instead of 100 jobs, we are 100 customers, we need only 66.67. So we need 67 customers and we break even. So even if we raise our prices, we only need 66, 67 versus the 100, which means a third of your customers can go away to get the same sales. Now, here's what's good and bad about that. Obviously, we don't want to lose any customers. We want no child left behind, if you will. We want to bring as many of those customers with us. And if we've been providing great customer service and product and services, guess what? Majority of people are. But if they're only attached to you for price, yeah, they're going to dive off. So the odds of you losing a third of your people are pretty dramatic. And if you did, that means you really had a lot of people that were only using you because of price. But here's the cool thing. One of the complaints that we get from local small business owners all the time is the fact that they never get a day off. They're constantly working 7 days a week, and they're, they've got more hours. They want to grow their business, but they just have no more time. Well, let me ask you something. If all of a sudden I took away a third of your customers and you were making the same amount of money, would you do it? Absolutely, because that opens up all of that time. It opens up all of that time for you to be able to work on your business. It opens up all that time for you to be able to take on new business at the new $60. There's so many different opportunities that open up just from this one simple thing of raising your prices or getting people to that next price level. So here's the thing. My bottom line, what I'm trying to get into everybody's head is this. Stop moaning and groaning about having cheap customers. Quit moaning and groaning and thinking that every customer that uses you is cheap. There's going to be people that use you just for price. Whatever, but that's not who you're trying to take care of. They're not the people. There are people that get swept up because they've heard of your reputation. They're people that get swept up because they're always looking for a deal. There's nothing wrong with them looking for a deal. You just have to get better at explaining why that's your value. I run into it real estate. We have to explain our commissions. Well, you know what? Through time, I've gotten much better at explaining my value and what I bring to the table. You know what? When I had an ice cream shop, you don't think when I had Baskin that I had to listen to people moan and groan about the price of Baskin Robbins ice cream? It's ice cream, for God's sake. But you know what? I had to get better at explaining why you would spend $3 for a scoop of ice cream versus going right down the same shopping center and going getting one for $1.50. But that's where we're able to start being able to communicate. It's the quality of the ice cream. It's the ice cream fat that's in the ice cream. And you know what? I learned this in Scooper School. So what did I do? I turned around and I taught it to every kid I had that worked for me. So every employee, some of them weren't kids, but every person that worked for me could explain the quality of the ice cream. And for those of you that have had good quality ice cream, you know what I mean. There's a huge difference. Matter of fact, after I closed down the Baskin, I couldn't eat cheap ice cream anymore because I totally could tell the difference of higher fat concentrated ice cream versus the ice milky kind of low end stuff. Not that I don't, because I still love my thrifty ice cream, but at the same time is I know I'm not getting a high quality ice cream. I understand the difference in that because I understand the value and what goes into making that higher end ice cream. There's a reason why you pay so much more for Haagen-Dazs or some of the more creamy ice creams. It's because of how much ingredients go back into those things to make them taste that way. So for every single one of you, you have something, you have a value proposition. You just have to get better at explaining it. And if you have people that work for you, you need to get better at having them explain it as well. So I'm done rattling on this subject. Hopefully you've had a change of heart and a change of mind about how you're going to look at your business and how you're going to tee up your prices and how you can price more for what it is that you do, but you've got to deliver the goods. Because that's the other thing, by the way, you've got to deliver the goods. If you're going to say that this does something, you better dang well do it, because you've got to make sure that it lines up, because when they're done, they want to go, wow, I got that great value. Just like when someone got done drinking that water, you know what? During that time, they had the greatest experience in the world. Yeah, they might go back to thinking that $5 bottles of water suck, but they're going to know that there's a time and place to buy $5 water. All right. So look at your business, look at your pricing, and I promise you, if you run some numbers and you start looking at some stuff, you're going to be surprised at how much more money you can add to your bottom line by just getting better at this one piece. And you can add some margin to your product, which then will equate into more profits as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up. Hopefully you've got some great ideas that you can do within your business. And by the way, do me a favor, if you love the podcast and you are getting something out of it, whatever podcast app you listen to, if you could leave a review, we love those 5-star reviews. It just helps other people find the podcast and helps them realize that this might be a great value for them as well. And that's the biggest thing, is I want to try to get in as many ears as possible, because I would love to be able to help more and more people out. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now. Stop thinking your people are cheap. Go show your value. Go. Stop listening. Go. Hey, badass business owners, before you go, just one thing. If you ever feel like you're alone and you would love to be with a like-minded group of individuals, head on over to our Badass Local Small Business Owner Facebook page. We have no spamming, no advertising, anything like that. Just your questions, mine, and we just kind of help each other out, grow our businesses, and share knowledge. You can feel free to know that you're in a safe place and ask your questions of people that are actually going to care about you. So once again, head on over to Facebook. It's the Badass Local Small Business Owner page. You can also hit the show notes, and it's right there. Once again, it's going to be stuff and people out there that care about you and helping you grow your business.